Picture this. It's 1513. A Spanish guy named Vasco Núñez de Balboa climbs to the top of a hill in Panama, looks one way and sees the Caribbean Sea, turns around and sees the Pacific Ocean. And between these two massive oceans, just 50 miles of jungle. That's when he had this crazy thought. Wait, nature almost connected these oceans. What if we just finish the job? Spoiler alert. It took 400 years, bankrupted France, sparked a revolution, and became the most expensive construction project in American history. More than 25,000 people are estimated to have died building it. But yeah, they did it. This is the story of the Panama Canal. So fast forward to 1879. There's this French engineer named Ferdinand de Lesseps, and he's kind of a legend. Why? Because he just built the Suez Canal in Egypt, connected the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. At 74 years old, this guy stands up in Paris and says, "Building a canal through Panama will be easier than Suez." He was very, very wrong. See, the Suez Canal was dug through flat desert, dry, predictable, straightforward. Panama was a completely different beast. Dense jungle, mountains, flooding rivers, and the ground literally fought back every step of the way. But that wasn't even the worst part. The real enemy was invisible. Yellow fever and malaria turned the construction camps into death traps. Workers would feel fine in the morning, then by afternoon they'd be dying, skin turning yellow, bleeding from their eyes. It was a nightmare. And here's the really messed up part. The French doctors thought these diseases came from bad air and dirty conditions, so they put hospital bed legs in pans of water to keep ants away. Sounds smart, right? Wrong. They were creating perfect breeding grounds for the mosquitoes that were killing everyone. They had no idea. By 1888, after years of work, they'd barely scratched the surface. They needed to cut through mountains hundreds of feet high. They'd managed to lower the peak by 16 feet. That's it. Then came the landslides. Imagine spending months digging out tons of rock and dirt, and the next morning you come back and the entire hillside has just slid back into the hole, burying all your work, sometimes burying your workers. One guy described it as tropical glaciers made of mud. The numbers are staggering. Over 22,000 workers died during the French effort, and that's just the ones who died in hospitals. Many just disappeared into the jungle, never to be found. By 1889, the French company went bankrupt. The dream became a graveyard. Enter Theodore Roosevelt, probably the only person who could actually pull this off. By 1900, Teddy was convinced America needed this canal for naval power. During the Spanish-American War, the battleship USS Oregon had to sail 14,000 miles around South America just to get from California to Cuba. It took 67 days. A canal would cut that to weeks. But there was a problem. Panama belonged to Colombia, and Colombia's government rejected America's offer. They wanted more money. Roosevelt did not take this well. He later admitted, "I took the isthmus, started the canal, and then left Congress not to debate the canal, but to debate me." What happened next is controversial, to put it mildly. Some Panamanian businessmen wanted independence from Colombia. They had a secret ally, a French engineer who stood to make millions if America took over the canal project. This guy met with Roosevelt and hinted that a revolution might happen soon. Roosevelt ordered U.S. warships to Panama. The message was clear: we've got your back. On November 3, 1903, Panama revolted. The main revolutionary force? A fire brigade paid by the French Canal Company. When Colombian troops showed up to stop it, American forces blocked them. The revolution succeeded with one casualty: a Chinese shopkeeper hit by a stray shell. Within days, the U.S. recognized Panama as independent. Within weeks, they signed a treaty giving America a 10-mile-wide canal zone forever. Many Panamanians called it a betrayal. The New York Times called it an act of sordid conquest. Roosevelt didn't care. He had his canal zone. Now he just had to actually build the thing. When American workers arrived in 1904, they found rusted equipment, crumbling buildings, and thousands of graves. Within months, yellow fever struck again. Workers panicked and fled. 3/4 of them left Panama. The first chief engineer was so terrified he imported a metal coffin to ship his body home if he died. When he quit after a year, that coffin carried home one of his workers instead. America seemed doomed to repeat France's failure, until this stubborn army doctor named William Crawford Gorgas refused to give up. Gorgas had fought yellow fever in Cuba and knew something the French didn't. Mosquitoes spread the disease, not bad air. But knowing wasn't enough. The Canal Commission thought he was wasting money chasing bugs when he should be cleaning up filth. They initially refused to give him the resources he requested, dismissing his theories as impractical. Then in 1905, several workers died of yellow fever. 500 more panicked and fled. The project was on the verge of collapse again. Roosevelt had a choice: fire Gorgas and his mosquito theory, or trust the science. He chose science. What followed was remarkable. Gorgas divided Panama into districts and unleashed 4,000 workers to wage all-out war on mosquitoes. They fumigated every building with pyrethrum and sulfur, drained swamps and pools of standing water, sprayed 700,000 gallons of oil on any water they couldn't drain, creating a film that suffocated mosquito larvae, installed screens on every window and door, even quarantined yellow fever patients in portable screen fever cages so mosquitoes couldn't bite them and spread the disease further. The campaign was comprehensive and relentless. Inspectors checked properties daily. Workers received fines for allowing standing water. Every cistern, every water barrel, every puddle was treated or eliminated. The results? By December 1905, yellow fever deaths stopped completely. By 1906, the disease was gone from Panama. Malaria was tougher. It stuck around the whole time, but Gorgas reduced its impact dramatically. Workers took 40,000 doses of quinine daily. Still, the disease killed thousands, especially Black West Indian workers who made up most of the workforce. They lived in worse housing outside the protected zones and died at 10 times the rate of white workers. By the end, about 5,600 workers died. Tragic, but nowhere near the 22,000 French deaths. Gorgas proved tropical diseases could be beaten. Now the real work began. The biggest challenge wasn't disease. It was cutting through a mountain range. The Culebra Cut, an 8.75-mile stretch through the Continental Divide, became the focal point. They had to slice through rock over 300 feet above sea level to create a passage for ships. The scale was massive, over 300 pneumatic drills boring holes into solid rock. Workers would load these holes with 200,000 kilograms of dynamite every single month. The explosions could be heard for miles, shattering rock so that 68 massive steam shovels, each weighing 95 tons, could scoop up the debris and load it onto trains. At peak construction, a train moved in or out of the cut every single minute, all day, every day, for years. Imagine the coordination required. One mistake, and the whole operation would grind to a halt. The noise was incredible. Constant drilling, blasting, and steam engines echoing off walls hundreds of feet high. The railroad operation itself was a feat of engineering. They invented track shifters on site that could move entire rail lines up to 3 feet at a time, allowing the tracks to follow the advancing excavation. They laid over 4,000 miles of track to support the work. Trains hauled material up to 19 miles away to dump sites, even building a 3-mile causeway into the Pacific Ocean that connected 4 small islands. But the real enemy? The Earth itself. The engineers misjudged the geology. They thought the rock would stay stable at certain angles and heights. It didn't. In October 1907, workers noticed a crack forming in the slope. Within days, 500,000 cubic yards of clay collapsed into the cut, undoing months of work in minutes. It was the first of many disasters. The worst part? These slides happened without warning. You'd hear a rumble, see a wall of mud and rock coming at you, and there was no time to run. Workers would race to dig through the debris, hoping to find survivors before they suffocated. Despite everything, in 1908 alone, they excavated 37 million cubic yards, a one-year record that still stands today. On May 20th, 1913, steam shovels working from opposite ends finally met in the middle. They'd done it. But tragedy followed even in victory. In December 1908, 44,000 tons of dynamite exploded unexpectedly at Basso Obispo. 26 men died instantly, buried under 60,000 cubic yards of rock. They never figured out what caused it. The engineer in charge, Major Gaillard, never saw the canal finished. He died in 1913 from a brain tumor at just 45 years old. They renamed the cut in his honor. On August 15, 1914, the cargo ship SS Ancon became the first vessel to officially cross the Panama Canal. Ocean to ocean in just under 10 hours. There was no grand ceremony. World War I had just started in Europe, and the world had bigger problems. But for those who built it, completion was enough. The final numbers: $375 million spent, the most expensive construction project in American history at the time. Over 75,000 workers total. At peak, 40,000 working at once. About 5,600 died under American construction. Combined with the French deaths, more than 25,000 people are estimated to have given their lives for this 51-mile waterway. But it worked. It transformed global shipping overnight. Ships from 170 countries could now take a shortcut between oceans. Traffic went from 1,000 ships in 1914 to over 14,000 by 2008. The story didn't end there, though. For decades, the Canal Zone was a foreign-controlled strip cutting through an independent nation. Tensions boiled over. In 1964, riots over the right to fly Panama's flag led to a brief diplomatic crisis. Finally, in 1977, the Torrijos-Carter treaties promised eventual Panamanian control. On December 31, 1999, almost exactly a century after the revolution that created Panama, the United States handed the canal over to Panama. Today, the Panama Canal carries more than 6% of global trade, worth hundreds of billions of dollars annually. Ships the size of city blocks pass through Gatun Lake 85 feet above sea level, raised and lowered by locks that still work more than a century later. But beyond the economics and engineering, the Panama Canal is a monument to a simple truth. Humans can do impossible things when we're determined enough. We can connect oceans, move mountains, and change the course of history. Balboa's dream from 1513 became a French nightmare, an American triumph, and finally Panama's inheritance. You can subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on true stories like this.